I guess making videos and having YouTube things is what the young people are doing today. So I guess I'll give it a try. I'm better, I think, on Facebook and Twitter. And people who've known me a long time know that I was on Friendster and MySpace and social media. Something I was like really into. Even, gosh, I remember sending out mass emails when I was 19, 20 years old at Michigan State University, to everyone I knew. I just send like a mass email with like random thoughts, which I thought was pretty cool. It was probably a little bit crazy. Um, anyway, so I've seen some great young women who have way more skill than I could ever pray to have at giving talks on YouTube, and I have no idea what I'm doing. I have like my phone propped into a basket right now, um, with a bunch of my boyfriend's like tools, and there's a tennis ball in there. And if you hear anything in the background, it's the dog snoring. Um, Other than that, I have a grade 3 brain cancer, which is called anaplastic astrocytoma. Um, if I want to kind of simplify it, but it's not. I don't know how accurate it is, but I call it a baby glioblastoma because sometimes it helps simplify it, I guess. Um, yes, I was diagnosed last October after a craniotomy and after, I can't remember the word for when they take a sample and find out what it is. But anyway, they found out it was in fact a malignant um, brain tumor, and I had radiation plus chemo, and now just my chemo, which is usually it's a pill form called Temodar, or it's a much larger name, but they cut it to Temodar, so I guess it's easier to say. Um, and actually, I have been doing that for about 7 months. I'm almost done with this cycle. Um, it's a journey, but that's not what I wanted to talk about. I gotta get better at this. I don't know how those girls do it, or people. They're amazing. I am already lost rambling. But I did want to talk about uh, things that well-meaning people, friends, family, awesome people, they just don't know what to say to you sometimes when you have a cancer, especially something like a brain cancer. It makes people uncomfortable when you want to talk about it a lot. I like talking about it. I could talk about it all day long. I'm not even necessarily accurate. I just like talking about it. It helps me. Um, but it can make friends, family, coworkers uncomfortable, I think, especially if you want to talk about something like a a terminal illness. They don't want to know that your cancer's terminal. They like to say, "You'll beat this," which is awesome, and I totally understand where that's coming from. And I've said it to people, I'm sure, in my past. Um, but it's also a hard thing to hear when you're trying to. They think it's. I don't know if they think it's you're being negative, or they just don't know what to say. They'll almost cut you off. You'll beat this, and in your head you're like, I might not. I have a really rough cancer. It's not. You don't. Not everybody beats this, and it's okay. I mean, it's not okay, but it's also okay. And that's one thing I find myself often saying. No matter what we're talking about, especially about cancer, and it's not okay, but it's okay. Um, I never had to think about what if I can't have children. I'm not going to have children. Even though I probably could, I don't want to have children. The timeline isn't so great. It's not awful, but it's not so great. And I choose not to have children, um, it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be to make that choice, but it sometimes comes up in my own thinking, and it's like, wow, I always thought I just assumed I'd be 80 or 90 years old. Hey, I still might be. I'm not being negative. I'm not being I'm being positive. I'm just being realistic too, and also trying to, process everything and you got to get yourself in a place where you're okay with any outcome. And I know that sounds impossible. So anyway, so when someone says you'll beat this, sometimes it's like, yeah, but what if I don't? And I might not. And that's a reality, and I'm okay talking about it. So I feel like other people can be okay talking about it too. It might make you uncomfortable, but hey, politics makes me uncomfortable. I hate talking about politics, which is funny because that's where one of my degrees is supposed to take me. And I don't want to talk about it at all. I don't enjoy it. I just would rather not. I also get, besides you'll beat this, I get a lot of don't think that way. Like, so if I want to talk about the end of the road, or they don't want you to think that way because they think you're being negative or that you're sending vibes to, like, give your cancer power or something. Believe me and my cancer we've been buddies a long time. I didn't know how long we've been buddies for, but I'm guessing it was a good long time. Like, I would say 10 years, but that's a conversation I don't know the truth of it. I don't know the science of it. We don't have physical proof of it, I'm sure, because I just had an MRI last summer for the first time. But, he's been living up there a while, and he's not going anywhere anytime soon. So we have a pretty solid relationship. I compare it to a war of attrition, but it's also like an unwelcome roommate. But, he's not out of there. He still lives up there. And so telling me not to think that way is also kind of unrealistic and also not helpful, because I'm not thinking anything wrong. I'm just thinking about things I face a million hours a day. I also get, you talk a lot about cancer. Yes, I talk a lot about cancer. It hasn't even been a year yet, guys. It hasn't been a year. It's like, if you had asked me a year ago before all of this, what is the worst illness you could think of ever having that scares you more than anything? That time I would have said brain cancer. Now I can think of other things, because you got me here, and I'm actually handling it really well. I'm actually handling it better than I handled breakups from boyfriends in my 20s, my marriage and divorce, being broke. Lots of things I've handled worse than handling brain cancer diagnosis, which is pretty amazing. Like, I feel like I have a life purpose, and I like the life I have, and I couldn't have said that maybe a year ago, which is weird as heck. I mean, who says that? Who says having brain cancer was the best thing I've ever had happen to me? I could say it's the best, worst thing that's ever happened to me, and that's what I say. I mean, it's terrible. Like, it's awful. I would love to be 70, 80 years old. That would be great. But it is probably not going to happen that way. Not being negative. Again, I'm not being negative. I'm being realistic with the numbers they put in front of me. Let's go like years at a time. Let's get to 5 years. Dr. Schneider, you owe me a prize at 5 years, and you owe me a prize at 10 years. I think that's a fair arrangement, by the way. Dr. Schneider is my neuro-oncologist, so I'm not not sure if he actually knows about that arrangement or if I just made that up, but that's the arrangement. You owe me prizes. I don't know what they are, but they better be good prizes. And 5 years is a good prize, and 10 years like a really good prize. It doesn't have to be Dr. Snyder. It could be anyone, really. Prizes, prizes for surviving. But yes, I talk a lot about cancer because I am in the thick of it. I had diagnosis. I had craniotomy. They told me what it was living up there. I went right from there to radiation, chemo. Chemo is a battle. I get weekly blood work. I'm at the hospital all the time. And then it turned out I was allergic to my chemo, which is a whole nother drama. And there's not a whole lot of chemo for brain cancers. Not much at all. So you want to really make one of those work. So yes, I talk a lot about cancer. I'm told it might not be like this forever. I'll probably move on and want to talk about things like the X-Files, which I still love talking about, and all the other nerdy stuff, Les Mis, my dog, stuff that other people talk about. I don't know. I still talk about those things. I just love talking about my cancer. Oh, and the other thing, you complain a lot. I haven't gotten that too often, but I have gotten it from a few people, which was quite painful and not particularly true, but I'm sure I complain a lot, especially on Twitter, because, it's a little bit more, I feel a little more free on there, but, whatever, it's all up in the air. I complain, yes, but not as much as I think the average person would complain. I feel like I'm pretty positive with a pretty shit situation. No, I'm actually awesome about it, and so is pretty much everyone I know, and I'm really lucky to know such wonderful people, and it's been crazy. Sometimes when I think about this happening to me, it's like, it's okay. I don't want to go anywhere. I like it here. It's if you want an appreciation on your life and what you were complaining about before, you still have every right to complain about. Complain about everything you want. Life can stink. Life is stupid sometimes. Stupid things happen to good people. Good things happen to bad people. And that's just life sometimes. But, yeah, it's cancer. You want a new appreciation for right now and the life you're living. Here you go. I love it. I love this life. I love the dog. I love you guys. Unless you're an ass. And by an ass, I mean if you're horrible. If you're a horrible person, please don't comment. If you're going to criticize something, don't comment. But you can. Feel free. It just why. Oh, one thing they don't tell you when you have brain cancer, or if you're on steroids, is that, like, you always see cancer patients, and they always look gaunt and hungry, and they look as sick as, they look sick. And then, there's people like me. I don't know what happened. I ate all the donuts, I ate all the pizza, I don't know. People are like, you look healthy. And I'm like, well, that's a good thing. I'm glad I look healthy. I feel healthy, except on chemo and, except for, the giant hole in my brain and the little tumor that's hanging out in there too. Yeah, but other than that, I'm healthy. But they don't tell you that steroids, well, they do tell you. They don't really tell you that, you'll probably get fatter, or if you're like me, you'll get fatter. If you're like other people, you'll gain some weight, which is, a thing that happens. And you'll be surprised at how much it'll still bother you, but not as much as it might have a year ago, for example. But yes. Oh, sorry, I had to touch my phone. I don't know what else to talk about. This is just me rambling by myself. It's probably terrible. The dog's snoring right through it, so yeah. I don't know how you girls do it. You guys are amazing. YouTube, girl people, giving videos about things. good job, because